Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you today? Good morning. Good morning to you. Hope you're well. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Karen. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Kristen, good morning. Woo. Hey, Donna, good morning. Glad you're well. Doing good. That's good to hear. Cecile, good morning to you. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. So good to see you today. Yes, they all good. That's nice. That's terrific. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Good to see you also. Ah, very nice. It's a good day. Vicky, good morning to you. Hope you're grand. Hope things are going well on your end. Good morning, everybody. We're just getting ready for the concert on Friday. Mary Catherine Fletcher is going to be doing the concert, which will be terrific. Man, like everybody's very, I know you're smiling and like your last post. Yeah, well, I mean, I posted a serious picture on for my profile picture, and it's, everyone seems very concerned. Like, I think I'm okay. Just, but yeah, well, I'm smiling because I'm here and I'm amongst all of you that we get the chance to gather and be a part. So welcome everybody this morning. It is the 15th day, the Ides of June, here at First Congregational Church, and we are having the chance to gather once again with one another. This morning, I want to just tell a story. So, you know, Jesus, good morning, Jane. When Jesus really wants to make a point, one thing he does is he tells a story. Explanations are fine, all those sorts of things, but his true weight comes out when he really wants to let people know things. He tells a story, and so in the storytelling, there is a power and a might that comes out. I think that doesn't come out any other way, and so I want to tell you a story today. This is the So this is a story of two sisters, Anna and Susan Warner. Anna and Susan Warner were the daughters of a very powerful attorney in New York City in the middle of the 19th century. They were wealthy. They had and they were close, the way sisters sometimes develop close. Neither of them had children, and they would spend their whole lives in West Point, New York, and where mostly with their dad, and they would spend their lives there just outside the West Point Military Academy, and there are actual memorials there to Anna and Susan. For their care and their ministry to the cadets of West Point over the years. That they would go onto the grounds and they would teach Sunday school and to the cadets. They would offer Bible studies to the cadets throughout. For decades they did this. Now, in 1857, there was a depression in the United States, an incredible financial collapse, all sorts of bad things happened. And as a result of that, their father lost most of their fortune except for the house in West Point. And and he never really recovered from it. He never really was able to come back from that. And he would die a short while later, a broken man. Having gone from one of the most powerful men in New York City as an accomplished attorney to being really destitute and leaving his two daughters with little ways to make a living. But the thing is he had not left his daughters unprepared, as was not the custom in the 19th century. He encouraged his daughters to become educated. He encouraged them to read and to write, and they were actually incredibly, as they would say back in the day, well lettered. They had much in the way of accomplished both in study and in thought, and they would, with the sickness of their father, end up trying to make a living, trying to figure out how they were going to support themselves. And what they realized very quickly, almost immediately, is that they had a knack for storytelling, that they told stories. And so they started to write these series of fiction books. And they're right out of the gate, they had this great they had a bestseller on their hands. They wrote a number of great books. And they would go on to write other great books, all while they were continuing to minister and care for the new cadets that would come into the military academy every year, all while they would offer up prayers and grace and host dinners and all these things that they would, and this ministry of hospitality that they would have both in teaching and all this through to the cadets. Their great hit was written by Anna, probably the greatest hit of in somewhere near the very beginning of the Civil War. Anna would write a book called The Say and Seal, and it was a story of while it didn't go down and it's not in the Moby Dick category. It's a good read, but it is still there is one scene in it. Now remember, this is the time when, just before the Civil War, and they're getting and she, knowing these cadets that she has ministered to for decades, knowing that, if we remember correctly, that the nation, that those that would end up in the South and those who would end up fighting for the North, both of them would come from the same education. Both of them would have come through her Sunday school and her Bible study and the sisters' care and having gathered around their tables. She was acutely aware that the world was going to blow up into separation and civil war. And she wrote The Say and Seal in a way as a balm to seek to heal something of the rift that was not just playing out in the country, but was playing out right around her dinner table, about those who would talk about North and South, and right in her Bible study. And she wrote The Say and the Seal, and there is this one scene in it in which Mr. Linden, who is this kind man, comes to the side of Johnny Fax, and Johnny Fax is a young boy who is dying, and he is sick and ill, and this little scene that she creates from her imagination is a scene that is somehow captivated and harnessed about the very scene that was playing out around her, about a world that was a Johnny Reb world that was about to blow itself up into rebellion and brokenness. This character in her book, Mr. Linden, would come to recite a poem that was really the statement of faith for Anne and Susan And Anna's life would be poured into really the four simple verses of the poem that she would then place in the mouth of Mr. Linden to read to this imaginary dying boy, Johnny Fax. And it was these words: Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. Jesus loves me, he will stay close beside me all the way. Thou hast died and bled for me. I will henceforth live for thee. There are two more verses of the poem that goes on that would become not just her statement of faith, but to a man by the name of William Bradbury, a good Mainer, by the way, would be unable to sleep one night. And as he was kind of studying, struggling with his insomnia, like all of us, he would look for a good book. And in that book, and he would find The Say and the Seal, which was a popular book in the late 1850s. And in that reading of this book and reading that scene, William Bradbury, one of perhaps the greatest hymnists of America, but would come to pen and the lyrics and the words and the tune that we would then come to know as perhaps the greatest hymn ever written. That its simplicity and its power would not just come to that moment. And he would that night stay up all night, not just because he was an insomniac, but because he would found himself afflicted by these words, by the nation in which in the state that it was in, and the brokenness in which it found itself, and he would then. And when he read that poem in Mr. Linden, that came from Mr. Linden's mouth, he heard music because, well, he was a hymnist. So he was a writer of hymns. And so he would put together the chorus and add that to it. And so Anna's work and Bradbury's work combined would come to be the great hymn that we would know. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong. In 2022, it's easy for us to hear those words and be like, oh my God, it's so saccharine. It's so simple. It's so boring. Yet one of the greatest theologians of the last century, when asked to defend his 30-plus volumes of theology that he would write in the course of his life, and when asked, what is the essence of what you know? He said, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. He would come to that. But I don't think we can understand the power of what Anna and what Bradbury had unleashed at that time. Because here's the thing. What would happen that all of those Civil War generals that were on the battlefield, all of those killers that were on the fields of Chancellorsville and Gettysburg and the Peninsula and Vicksburg and all the places in America where American blood flowed freely in the days of rebellion and the days of pain that were the American Civil War, in every camp, both in northern camps and southern camps, because again, remember, Anna and Susan were as much the Sunday school teachers of Hancock and Grant as they were of Jackson and Longstreet. That there would be this song that would be sung around campfires, north and south. Men who had spent the day killing their brothers, men who had spent the day breaking the world apart, would cry to their God around a campfire, It would cry to the fact that in the horror of what they were participating in and what they were doing, that the world would come to be healed by a Jesus who loves them, by a Jesus who knows the weakness of what they have done and their need for them to be healed, both in personal soul and in national effort. This hymn would go around the nation, both in North and South, in the middle of the American Civil War, and could be heard around all the different campfires as a cry to heal themselves and the whole world. When the missionaries would go forth later in the century, they would take with them this song, that it became in many ways the greatest song, that if going into cultures that did not understand big theologies, going into cultures that needed to be opened in the most basic of ways, it would be this song that would go forward on continents around the planet, that would declare God's love to the world, to people that had not heard that declaration. This little hymn is in many ways the most powerful of hymns that has ever been penned. Friends, my thought for you today, and my hope for you, is that maybe you don't overthink it today. Maybe you hold dear to the chorus of William Bradbury, of that great soul of Maine, who would pen many other beautiful hymns with great aplomb and with intricate melodies. But maybe today you just recognize the power of a simple declaration that the one who made you loves you. The one who brought you into this world, brought you there not to suffer, not to be broken, not to be smashed. And that even in our breaking and our smashing of the world, there is a love beyond it all that calls to us, that declares its love for us, and that will not let us go. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so. All right, friends, that's my hope for you today. I hope you will you'll hold fast to the words of Anna Warner and William Bradbury today, and that they might be an encouragement for you. Peace and grace to you, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.